Mike's here. Welcome, Mike. Hey, Tina.
Hey, Brandon. 18. So you already got the merge you were looking for that one, for 560.
I did get the merge. I've opened up a PR for the release. I should put that on the agenda. My email has gone to the dev list, but I have not seen it actually show up yet. So I suspect there might be a little bit of a quarantine thing going on there.
Okay. Yeah, we were getting some advertising for a while there, huh?
I go through on the dev list for myself and flag them all as spam, but that only flags it for myself. Doesn't flag it for anybody else, I don't think.
Interesting.
So yeah,
Owner
when
used to be Amy, right? So I'm not sure who owns it now.
um I know that Jory has access to it. And so
Okay.
I sent her a ping this morning just saying, hey, what's going on over there? But haven't heard anything back. You tell people you're going to release something, everybody shows up at the meeting.
If it's any consolation, I didn't even see yet that you're going to release something.
Me either. I know that since we're going to hit that deprecation point from GitHub, that people will want to tag one way or another. And that's going to happen with a week. So I figure now's the time. Eric here.
Hello.
Long time no see. How you been?
Tired.
So did I wake everybody up saying let's do a release?
Yeah, I was trying to catch up on that. I figure it might just be better to attend. Hear about it. Hear about it from the horse's mouth.
I figured pinging people before the meeting rather than after the meeting might actually get a few people to show up. Sorry to give everybody a hard wake up on that one.
No, it's fine. I don't even remember how we were doing patch releases, so I just need to catch up on that. Look into it yet.
I just went through the normal release process. I was telling Mike a minute ago, I did put the post to the dev mailing list, but I think I'm quarantined over there. And so I'm just waiting for someone with access or the timer to expire, whatever it is that lets that go through.
Yeah, but what is our normal patch release process? We don't actually have release branches today.
I just tag right on main. So I'm not doing this one as a hot fix. I just did as a full.
Yeah, I saw that. But then, yeah, it's a larger change list to look through. So that's why I was.
It is.
Yeah.
if folks want to do a patch release, I can go that direction too. Means
I
making a branch and then cherry picking
yeah,
this over.
I just realized we never actually made branches before to do that. So
You did on the security vulnerability way back. Was that image
we
spec,
do
I
have
think.
we do have a 1.0 stale branch, I guess. We never created a 1.1 branch.
You did one for the security on image spec.
Oh, an image spec. Okay, but
Yes, that's been a bit on that one. But I'm pretty sure there was a branch over there. Yeah, there's a V1.0, and I think what tag was that? Was that maybe 102 or 101, one of those that we did the security release on? $102. So if we want to go that direction for this, I'm open for that. I just kind of went the easy
I was
option
just
for
trying to
me.
look at what the actual, so the tag pagination, is that the only significant spec change to consider?
Well, let's see, looking through here, we've got the last query parameter. That should be pretty non-upsetting, the order non-upsetting here. Full test on the tag listing. I mean, there are a bunch of little small updates in there that are kind of nice to haves.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with those. Yeah, as I said, it's the only one I see on there. Add support for content range requests when getting blobs. Stuff that's actual changes to the spec rather than just clarifications or wording updates.
Mm-hmm. And even the tag pagination change on the spec, that was mostly shifting this to how everybody's been using it anyway. It wasn't that we're telling people they need to change their stuff. It's saying we're acknowledging that people do pagination a day don't handle the other stuff. And so it's just a recommendation if you're a client out there to prefer using that.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I just wanted to reread it to see was there any like any language in there that's not good for patch releasing, but I think it's fine. So it's
Oh,
just
to change it to like a minor is what you're saying.
oh, I mean we could do a minor release too. Doesn't really doesn't matter too much, right?
Not the end of the world. If we need to do that, I could.
Okay, so I don't think we need a lot of overhead for this project. So the stream of changes is still pretty small. Generally, I like having the release branches open so that we can do security or like smaller patch releases if we need to. But I don't know if I don't know if we've taken a firm stand on that before, so we can just decide which way we want to do it and just do it. Probably doesn't matter too much. I mean, we made a big hoopla about 1.1, so if we just release it 1.2, that's just like much ado about nothing. Then maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's confusing.
Yeah, I'm looking through the changes still. The range request was a little small one there. Nothing too major, but it is a change to the spec.
The GHA change specifically, maybe I should go back and read your message about it, but we just need that updated on the main branch. Or we just need it updated on the branch, like, because since we don't have any other branches, we don't really need to worry about a 1.1, really.
So people will import the conformance test with a version number after it. They will say, I want to run the distribution spec conformance test for V1.1.0.
And that's
And so if they
that
do
should,
that, they're going to be permanently stuck on a broken version. All their CIs are going to break in a week if they're doing
Yeah.
that. And so we're giving them the option, instead of saying switch to main and now you get whatever our development is that's going on right now, we're giving them a version number they can pin to.
yeah. Maybe that is worthy of a 1.2. I would be fine with that. And we can branch off 1.2 if we need to. We don't really need to. But if say we wanted changes to go in that are specific to the conformance, or split out the conformance altogether, I guess, for like 1.3 or something, maybe that makes sense to do.
I figure long-term splitting it off, that'll be bigger change. And yeah, that would definitely make a minor version over there.
But that could be a good reason to go to 1.2 if users are actually pinning that version in their actions.
Why not a 1.1.1 for that scenario? Are you saying it's a major scenario, or are you saying they can't do a patch pin?
No, it just shows it's like more of an update, but doesn't really matter. I think for me, it's more about the branch hygiene. I don't like releasing patch releases from main.
We release everything from main, other than the emergencies, so far at least.
Well, we haven't had any patch releases. Have we ever had a patch release for 1.0? Like, I just look back through.
Image spec had the 1.1, 1.0.1. What was in that?
We have the 1.0 branch because we did have a 1.0.1 on here. But it says 0 ahead. So I guess that means it was branched but never used.
That I don't know. We don't have the change list in V101 over an image spec that says what changed from July 19th to November 7th. So it would take me some effort to see what triggered that patch release back then, 2017. For a distribution spec, we're not doing as many releases over there. .101. Oh, another CV mitigation. Okay. Yeah, I feel like the only times we've done the hot fix has been a CVE that we want to push. Fix.
Yeah, I mean, I think keeping the patch release for the spec criteria low is not such a bad thing. Right here, if we do a 1.1 here, it's kind of, that's a big change set. But I said, we don't really have a defined process around that because we haven't needed to. Or what are some other opinions on that?
I was about to ask if Mike had a thought.
Thumbs up every time we do a release and we end up just doing a tag. That's fine.
You're skipping the question.
Yeah,
Should it
those
be a,
yeah,
should it be a
you didn't-
patch or should it be a minor? And what's our delineation?
I just went through each of the diffs, and this is a minor.
Minor versus a patch? You want me to bump it up?
With or without the conformance issue, we're fine. I think we should do a patch this time, just make it a minor patch.
Wait, wait. You're so confusing, Mike. This is a minor. It's a minor patch.
A tag, sorry.
Is it 1.1.1 or is it 1.2.0?
It's 1.1.1. Terminology. What do you mean by patch?
Patch bumps the last version number, minor bumps the second
Yeah,
version
it's from
number.
the
Okay.
Sember
Yeah.
definition of minor and
Sember.
patch.
Oh, are we going to use Sember?
A Sember definition of the numbers
Okay,
only.
sorry. I didn't realize we were using Sember. I thought it was just a three number. version.
I feel like from a
Hey.
Semver perspective, this would be a minor, but
It's very minor. Yes.
no,
That's
no, not. Oh man, you're gonna turn it into a comedy sketch here, Mike.
major, minor, and then what's the third
Patch.
one? Patch.
Patch, minor patch, patch of a minor.
Minor.
A patch
It's
of
a
a minor
patch.
is different than a minor patch.
Okay, and we don't do majors, even though the last one was really a major change. Got it.
We're like Kubernetes, we're never getting off V1.
Right. We're never going to be enough vehicle. Okay, now, so not really never mind. Okay. Yes, 1.1.1 patch is what this one should be after reading through the changes. None of them were breaking changes, and that I could see.
No major new features.
No
No
major
minor
new
new features.
They were all net adds to allow for an extra error code return, that sort of stuff.
Little clarifications.
Little clarifications. It seems like it seems like a patch, a small patch. is that sorry, I keep using, I can't help but use the terminology.
I'm just thinking, Derek, this is what you're missing when you don't show up here every week.
Yeah,
This is-
you're making me feel left out.
Sorry, I was reading the code change. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that sentiment. As I said, for me, it was only about the size of the change. It's usually the whole point of patch is that it's, well, a patch, something that's a small change set. So a minor change set, a minor patch, but not a small patch because it's not a small change set. Oh my gosh.
Is
Go all
there
day into
anything in
that.
here, Derek, you're looking at, you're saying we added a new feature?
No, I don't think I don't have any concern from like a diff perspective, I guess it's the way to put it, other than it's just a long list.
Because that's usually my line. I'm looking, is there a new feature that someone's going to get out of this? Regardless of the number of commits we put in there, if we're just doing bumps of dependencies and little clarifications and tweaks and things. Until we add that new feature, I tend to just go with a patch.
Yeah, I don't think we could qualify this tag change as a feature. I mean, if we want to use that as a criteria, I'm perfectly fine with that. I would say it would just show that we should do patch releases more often if we're gonna take that perspective.
I mean, I would say we should do patch releases more often just in general, just for hygiene.
Hey, if you want to open up the tags, sure. I'll vote on it.
Especially because we did the generate, right? So
Okay, I'll plus one the 1.1.1 minor patch.
Awesome. Jory, you mentioned that my email isn't sitting anywhere you could see, right?
Right. I was looking through and it looks like your stuff has come through, but I'm also not sure exactly if there's one I'm looking for a specific day you sent it, and that might help me.
It would have been sent earlier today.
Okay, cool. I'll keep digging.
Sometimes Google might just be slow. Sometimes my email might be slow.
I
But
checked the spam, you're not in there.
oh, do you have full access to the dev group?
No, just
Oh, okay.
kidding. Brandon went through, just got spam checked. That would be
Well-
typical though. All the spam goes through and all the important stuff gets into the spam.
I go through there and flag so much spam. They're probably like, don't send this guy any more email. He flags everything. Put him in the penalty box. All right, that's the big thing. We got a bunch of other people
You're
here.
gonna push a 111 on image as well. Is there a PR on that one already?
So we don't have a PR on that, but that is another agenda item. But I want to give a chance because I know sometimes Jory has to run off. And so Jory, did you have any other things to chat about today?
The main thing is that I'm very close to getting the budget approved, and I want to go ahead because the events team is interested in getting started too with the summit proposals. Is start to kind of gather a group of folks who would be interested in serving on the program committee for the plumbing days / mini summit. Is anybody interested in doing that? I will start sort of like a sub mailing list for those folks. You can add yourself to it at a later date, / I will add you now, but hand raise if you're interested in being part of a kind of content and programming club.
What are the action items, responsibilities for that group?
Mainly to just curate kind of what the material will be. And so typically that's like taking a list of suggested topics. If we're going to go out with like a full PFP type process, we want to kind of help people identify things that they could propose that would be, relevant to the group. Additionally, brainstorming folks that we want to directly ask, like, hey, can you come give a presentation on X, Y, or Z? If there's specific like working sessions that want to be done, other kind of sub conversations you want to make time for, that's their main goal. And then if we have if we have a CFP process where people are submitting topics, they would be the folks who kind of help like sort and rank, and then we take the aggregate scores and we kind of hash out based on
Okay.
the
So-
quantitative.
So
So
much
working on
more
all the-
than our standard process of just gathering a list and
Mhm.
managing when we get there on the fly.
Than our normal process that we do. But this is getting the content for the event. This is not getting catering or working on all the other event processes around it.
Right, because frankly, if like the content's what's important. If we don't think we have good content, then who cares about the catering? That's
don't
my
know.
point of view.
You get good catering, you might get people to show up.
I can promise you that nobody has ever shown up for like the conference center catering. It's like, would you like some lettuce on a sad focaccia bread? That is what you're going to.
Well, I gotta ask, would these be speakers for the entire conference or would these be speakers just?
No, just for our summit. And the question in the chat is co-located with which of them? I believe this is with the
KubeCon EU.
Amsterdam, Europe. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike, are you asking because you're looking for a ticket to KubeCon EU?
Well, just a speaker thing. We used up
Yeah.
all the container D ones, and I had a pitch that didn't get approved. I'm on a container. I'm sorry. I'm on a contributor summit session speaking, but again, I don't know if they're going to have tickets. It's fine. IBM can cut the ticket, but
To give you the
it
scope of that
helps
one,
to be
Jory.
able to show up. Yeah, you're a speaker at the conference. Okay, when you're asking for permission to go, it helps to be able to show, yes, speaker. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
And
Travel
often
approvals.
too, we're able to say like you're speaking and there's going to be a team meeting and you know, like the more we can kind of package
Right.
up for you guys, yeah, the better.
Because it's very interesting that we've never really breached, right? That we have all these OCI projects, right? That are very similar to other graduated projects in CNCF. that are,
But we're our own little
but we're not
stepchild.
handled the same way. You're right. We're off on our own little island.
And I believe the events team does plan to try because last year they for the separate summit, like they didn't have any sponsorship, like they didn't get anybody to sponsor. And so I think this year they very much want to invite some opportunity for support to offset. You have nicer catering.
Okay.
More than two choices.
I had to ask.
Yeah. 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 So that will be an option too.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, because this is Amsterdam, so I don't know how many people here are going to be able to swing that travel with the company, getting people to pay for
Oh, it was
travel
London.
expenses.
Oh, it was London. We got KubeCon EU.
Yeah, that's EU. KubeCon
That's
EU.
KubeCon EU is April in London. That's not this. This is later in the year.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because you're talking
Europe
about
Resource Summit.
co-located. There's also the container plumbing days there
Mhm.
in Amsterdam, right?
Right. That's what I'm
August?
talking about.
This
August,
is the this is the
Yep.
follow-up to Container Plumbing Days. It's
Yep.
just kind of turning
Yep.
into an OCI mini summit.
Oh,
Yeah, and we can still make like for KubeCon in London, like if there's gonna be some folks, we can like similarly like we can get some meeting space and stuff, but I don't think OCI has anything specifically planned for KubeCon London. We can do something. We just need to get rocking on it, like stat.
okay. Thanks.
Do we want to do anything?
We
I misheard. I
we
thought it
usually
was.
don't.
Yeah.
Well, just
Yeah.
because we usually don't doesn't mean we don't like we can't. I'm just saying.
I think the trick is getting people that are
Right.
from this group that want to attend that. And not necessarily this meeting, but just OCI in general.
I'll also put out a call in Slack for people who want to be part of the program committee. I just that is my main update is the event. We're ready to. I'm ready to finish kicking pants on votes and move to making a program committee.
Sorry, I was out of loop. So is this for the container plumbing days or like the
LF is
What
now
is-
running Container Plumbing Days, and they're
Yeah.
turning us into a mini summit. Mini
yeah,
OCI
but this is
summit.
for the same thing. It's not for something that's like running at the same time.
Correct.
Okay.
In fact, Joy, is the name still going to be Container Plumbing Days, or are they renaming it?
I mean, I think as far as I know, they're still going to call it container plumbing days. I will. I think one of the things we'll do is in order for shorter businesses, once we get some folks who want to kind of be helping to lead this, is get a call with events and Chris and these folks, and we can kind of better tighten because I think it did get a little bit confusing about what's happened with the history. Because for me, I wasn't here last year, so.
And for us, this is the first time it's being held in the EU. So, like, oh, we're over there now.
Well, when it was virtual, it was everywhere.
I enjoy virtual, honestly.
Yeah, container plumbing days, everybody was upset that it wasn't going to be virtual anymore.
Yeah. We're a rare group. We don't want to meet in person. We like these things.
It's so much easier, especially for the smaller events.
Yeah.
Where are the OSS ones this year? The OSS.
In Amsterdam and Denver and
What dates?
Oh, April
Okay.
in Denver and August in Amsterdam.
Is it about the same time as the container plumbing days?
Yep,
This
that's
is
the
like a post event, like a
Mhm.
Thursday, Friday on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday event.
Oh, okay. So it is associated with the, got it, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I messed up. I said DroopCon. It was Open Source Summit as like a child side event.
That, okay. So man, I wasn't that confused.
Same.
Got it.
Same location, just a extra day or two after.
Okay. Okay. Sure. I'll volunteer for that one. I think I need to go to the OSS one. So yeah, might as well stay for a couple days or a day.
Are you volunteering to attend or are you volunteering to do all the
Committee, I can help with committee
committee
stuff.
stuff? Okay.
We'll get some, we'll try to drum up some interest. Brandon, you coming?
I won't make it in person. I've got KCD-DC.
Derek, Sam, what do you think?
I don't think I'll make it in person, but I might start attending conferences again later in the year. Probably not in Europe.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, gotcha.
I might be able to help with some of the committee stuff, but I won't be there in person.
Well, the OSS one being in April, that sort of messes up. Yeah. Hey, it's vacation time. You do it early April and then you go to OSS summit in a different city. That could be a mess. But yeah, I'll come here to talk about topics, I guess. We'll get a list and see what you guys think.
Mike,
We'll
you're
try and
just
do
gonna
as
make your
much of it async too. Like, I don't want to put more meetings on people's calendars unless folks prefer to have those conversations in a meeting, but just, um, if you're concerned about it being a like high effort thing, let me assure you that I will do my best to make it not difficult lift for you.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, Sam.
Anon, you want to do anything?
Yeah, I've got a lot of interest in this space because of some AI projects, and we're doing some identity with Spiffy Spire and artifacts and then policies. We could probably come up with a list of things that'll be interesting to talk about. OCI related, yeah. But also containers related. So that'll work. Maybe some of you guys can help me do the charts. All right. We'll reuse some charts. Okay. Anything else on the agenda, Brandon?
There is. I was just taking notes here. Yeah, image spec. We need to do a release over there as well. Or there has been a request to do a release over there. So I don't know. We don't have well, Tinon's here. Just looking, I think Sajay said he wasn't gonna be able to make it today, and so I wasn't sure who else might have been a maintainer over there. I keep losing track. The big reason is that we made a PR a while back to image spec that cleaned up a bunch of the dependencies. And we got a ping from some folks that are making requests saying, hey, we import image spec and we would love to clean up our dependencies. And this would be a nice one to clean up out of there because we're pulling in a bunch of some JSON schema things that pull in a bunch of other stuff that probably has some known vulnerabilities or old versions or whatever that people just want to get out of their code. So I put this the second priority after I get distribution spec out, but I wanted to make sure people saw that this was also coming down the pipeline. I'll look through there, but I'm guessing this is also, there's gonna be another little patch. I don't think we've had any new features, anything major in this one. or anything minor. Who's on first? Come on, we can do this again.
Small patch.
Minor patch.
De minimis patch.
So that was pretty much the other major thing there. Let's see. I did see like Rom was pointing out that Container D had some stuff going on. Not sure if there are other topics running around that people want to chat about. Minor patch. I don't want to do any Bitcoin miners.
Oh man.
So let's see. Do we lose? No, Rom's still here. What's going on? I guess we're just talking about the EuroFS and Container D. Is there anything for us?
What do you want to know about it?
Rom was pointing us over to that pull request, and so wasn't sure if there was something he wanted to talk about over there, or just making us aware of it.
Wait, am I looking at the wrong notes? Is there?
You
Might have done
showed
it
up.
private, Brendan.
He might have posted it after or before everybody joined the meeting. Everybody else.
Oh, okay.
Drop the link there, and I'll also put it in the
Well, at the
notes.
top, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with Gauching on this one, so I know this is not a time frame where I think he did come to this meeting one time to discuss it, and it's like 2 a.m. China time, so props to him for showing up once, but we can discuss it here. I don't think that there's anything in the initial version we're thinking that's going to impact OCI, since the first version is using the AeroFS tools to convert TARs directly to AeroFS. But yeah, there's definitely like a phase 2 of this where I want to figure out how to cut the TAR out, but that's not the first part, and getting the snapshotter in.
So what's the layer media type?
There's no new layer media type here. It's converting, like basically for Container D, when it does the unpack, it's calling the AeroFS util to do it. AeroFS has like a built-in util to convert TAR streams directly to AeroFS read-only blocks files. So it's basically just doing that today.
So the image remains the same as like a runtime conversion.
Yeah. Obviously, like that's gonna have limited like benefit originally, but the point, at least in the short term, is to get something in to get more AeroFS usage, and then from there we can kind of piggyback on how do we want to cut out the TAR altogether. But that's a much bigger question that this PR is not aiming to get involved in.
It was just confusing because it said convert the media type, but yeah, probably not what it really meant.
I mean, from a Container D perspective, yeah, we don't really do the media type conversions. You're gonna get in the TAR and the set of mounts, and you're gonna get the finalized mounts, in this case, whatever the AeroFS snapshotter wants to do. Right. So like there's some specific stuff on the Container D side to support it, but ideally, in an ideal world, I think everything we've been talking about for supporting AeroFS is getting rid of the whole differ process altogether, so that we can just take something and use it directly and not have to do this expensive application process. But yeah, I would leave that up to the experimentation before we want to get too involved there. And I know Rom's been experimenting with that a lot, but I'm stuck on mute, so.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, no updates there. I think I will do a release of that tool so that we can generate layers native EROFS and SquashFS. And we will see. I think this effort and the effort I'm taking on, I think it will merge at some point. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's the hope. And the AeroFest snapshotter here, as I said, it's not aiming to be a new format. But hopefully basically if we can get this in, then we have a snapshotter that can do AeroFest, and we can start doing more fancy stuff like new image types and stuff, and it could be the same or similar backend. Like I mean, maybe we should have like a separate discussion just like on the work stream there on AeroFest, because I know I've had a lot of conversations around like, do we want to flatten or not flatten the file systems to do a merge-fs? I opened up my mount manager issue. I realized it's been sitting since 2019 in a Google Doc. I thought I actually had it in an issue, but like that's one of the back and forths been having on the back end on that conversation is how do we handle these overlaid block file mounts, like the current approach of just having the snapshotter do a bunch of loopbacks and then provide an overlay is not great, since in the containerd world now you have a bunch of block file or loopbacks owned by the snapshotter. It's kind of what we want to avoid. So there's some stuff there I think that we can make it more interesting, and then maybe once we kind of have some of these primitive abilities for AeroFS and new mount abilities, and we can experiment easier with a more native file type or more native image layer type. That's my hope.
What's your vision when people try to start using this and putting it into more mainstream images? Would they make an image manifest that has the new media type? And
Oh,
would that
this is a
be
good topic.
Would that
This
be
is a
in
good
an
topic,
index
actually.
with like 2 options in an index, or would you have one manifest that has 2 digests per descriptor?
There's another issue that who opened it up? Maybe Kazu opened up on image spec around the platform. And there was a proposal on the containerd, well, proposal, I proposed it for the platforms, but we didn't 1.0 the platforms. When we 2.0 containerd, we put in an RC, and one of the things that we're kind of missing is the OS features. So one idea is to use OS features as a potential way to kind of like, if you want to use AeroFS as like an OS feature, as a way to distinguish the 2 images. So I guess in the manifest perspective, yeah, you would have 2 manifests. The first manifest, you would have like your normal tar, and then you could have a second one that has like an AeroFS feature or some other OS feature that you want to use if available. The runtimes would prefer the ordering for the first one, but could prefer the more specific match if it matches. So if you had an OS feature called AeroFS, for example, I'm not proposing that specific thing right now, but to say you had an OS feature AeroFS, you could match against that.
Yeah, you're jumping into the image compatibility working group where
I'm trying not to, though.
it was like, let's just implement it without talking to those folks because they're often law.
Yeah, I'm specifically trying not to go down that complicated level and just utilize what's already there.
So there were a lot of proposals, and different proposals have different complication levels. And I think the ones that I was recommending might be more along the lines of what you're thinking of, which is that we leverage either the OS features or platform features or annotations or maybe some other new field out. I tried to implement this on my own. I ended up making a new field because if I use annotations just within the Go stuff, there isn't annotations in fields that you're putting the platform. And so you'd get like 2 annotations that are overriding each other, and that wouldn't be good. So I just made a new field name.
I mean, I think from our perspective, and this is why I tried to say I'm not proposing that specifically, other than at least on the containerd side, we want some way to basically the limit of the proposal on the containerd side is to add OS features in the formatting. Currently, we added OS version, which was very Windows specific, and then OS features, which is kind of an unused field, but it's the only other field in the platforms today. So proposals is limited to, hey, let's have a way to represent OS features in the platform, and then we could leverage that for this type of image compatibility stuff, at least in like containerd config and stuff, where we want to pass in a string.
I'm
But-
curious why you're going OS features, not platform features.
Let me open up the
Yeah,
type that we actually have today.
quickly trying to find it myself. Because we've got a features field on both.
The spec.
Yeah, it's over in image index. Link it here. We've got an OS.features that is just for the Windows 2000 stuff. We have got a reserved field of platform features.
Yeah, but that's not even in our Go type today, right? Is it?
Let's see.
I thought it was. I thought it was.
Well, so and yeah, and this is where it gets into what is
It's not, you're right.
what is a like ArrowFS. I would say ArrowFS is more of an OS feature. It's stuff that's in its software implementations in the OS, rather than, we have all the variant fields and everything that's representing kind of hardware level compatibility. So what another feature, this is why I don't want to get into the image compatibility working group, because how do you define the boundary between it? I would rather keep it as like the OS is something that's implemented above the hardware layer in the software, so that could be in the OS, but specifically it's more of in the runtime in this case, because even if the OS has a feature, it has to be something that the runtime is aware of. So it's like the set of OS features would be something that the runtime would have to be intimately aware of. So ArrowFS may be something that's supported in most kernel versions that are out today, but it's not necessarily a feature that you would expect a new runtime to support if we just go and add that in.
I was kind of going down the platform features path, thinking that this would be something that's not maybe operating system specific, where it's more that this is a image selection thing. We're looking at the platforms and saying, hey, here's a platform, and we're trying to select on which of the images from that list we want. So I'm not really digging into here's something that's going on within that operating system. It's part of that selection.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what is considered an implementation of the feature. Is it something that's platform agnostic? Like ArrowFS is a good example. It's something that's very Linuxy, and if we were to add image types to it, what would it mean to have an ArrowFS image that's targeting like a Windows OS? Like, you could convert it, I guess, but like it is an OS specific feature kind of. Now if we go down like graphics cards and video, which I think isn't the other one, or CUDA or something support, now that's another bag of tricks. But like it's kind of the same thing, where it's like, yeah, like what is CUDA support really? Is it hardware support? Is it software support? Is it runtime support for it? Like, yes, it's all of those things. But which one is the most important? Well, the most important one is that the runtime has support for it. And so it's kind of the highest level that matters, because if the runtime is configured for it, that means everything else below it should be configured as well. Whereas what's the point of like, hey, I have CUDA hardware support, but I have no software support? Like, doesn't mean anything. So like having a single higher level features field, I think, makes sense. And I would propose just merging OS features and features, because really it shouldn't matter. It's
I think by the end of this, the OS features will probably end up getting deprecated if we don't find a use for it in image compatibility. And so we just go to whatever we're going to use. I did end up making my own new field, and it could have been called features at that point because we said it's reserved. We did say it was reserved for a, make sure I'm reading this right, array of strings. And I didn't want an array of strings, I don't think, in my own testing. I wanted a map. And so to do the map, I think I was
an array of strings could be a map though.
not in Go.
Environ. It's horrible. Everybody hates it, but everybody loves it too.
I want in my own code, I was doing a map string instead of a slice of strings.
So I would say the advantage of the environ approach is, yeah, it's silly, but you got to get into the unordered nature of maps, and order could be somewhat, I think, relevant there. It's like the order of, like, the features may be something you want to check in a specific order.
I put all of the ordering on the client side. I put that into the client itself can weigh these if it wants to, but that is specifically a decision that the Containerd installer that has run it either locally configured or as the Containerd maintainers, you might put a default ordering in there you want to have, where you specify these things have a higher weight than other things. Otherwise, if you don't specify weight, everything just weighed equally at a 1, and whoever has the most matches in that list wins.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Especially when you get into the matching specific features, and I guess some features could be specifically, well, especially like in the Windows case, it's like, is it a range of versions that it's supported? Is it a greater than or less than features, which are, I don't even want to deal with that right now. The platform matching. I do have a PRI open for doing platform matching based on features, which could be very similar. It could help. Okay, here's a wild idea. It could help if, because the only thing we asked for with the features is not for any definition of how it's used, but what the limit of what the values might be. If we say that OS features is an array of strings, but limit the character set of it to not have equal signs, then you could very easily differentiate between an array value and a non-array value.
Equal to or greater than is okay, but not.
Yeah, man, it can get so ugly, so complicated so quickly. But I do think it'd be good to nail down some of those, because we do want to start using some of these. And yeah, I know the image compatibility group has had a lot of time and ideas, but at least on the Containerd side, we also just want something that can fit into our platform matching, and anything that's matching outside of the platform object, like is completely separate, and I feel like it's gonna have a huge impetus to getting adopted.
That's exactly why I nixed using annotations, because descriptor has annotations on it and platform is a direct field within, it's a anonymous field within the descriptor. And so you can't put in annotations within platform without conflicting with the descriptor one. So I just called it, in this case, prefers, but it could have been called whatever you want to call it. And the idea was that you would have multiple entries in the index. First matching entry wins, but in this case, if you see something you prefer more than the other one, then you have a higher weight, then you'll win the later entry would. So when you get into those scenarios where you might have multiple things matching and you're looking for how do you pick and choose between them, it's whatever one comes first that has the highest weight. And so if you have multiple things with the same weight, the first one matches. If you have something with a higher weight, the one with the higher weight wins. And that weight can be, hey, this image is specified for this GPU. This image is specified for this WASM runtime. This one's defined for this image packaging format instead of a zip or tar gzip might have some other compression format. Whatever people want to put for their prefers, and then you can define within containerd that when you see this, we prefer things that have this compression format.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what that's implementing here, the one that I linked, but using OS features directly.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it will prefer, yeah, if you see the match logic, if it's got to be like a subset. Where's the less logic?
And you have like the Linux plus F2 plus F1.
As I said, it's a proposal there.
Well, the same for mine. Mine is a proposal as well. So if you pull the Reg client one, I'm doing the similar kind of stuff, but I just put a different syntax for how I was going to do that matching in my test code.
Well, the plus there is just to, it's in the, that's where we put the OS version. So it's to differentiate between the version and the feature. So that's all that's doing. But as I said, like this is there's two aspects of it. One is how do we format this? Because we do, even though we use the strings mostly internally and we've tried not to have them leak out, in reality they have leaked out a little bit. I know like Moby was using this format. But we tried to keep it internal, but even if it's part of our configuration files, it's still somewhat specified. Oh, is BuildKit also using that?
Oh, that's in the public API.
In the public BuildKit API?
Yep.
Okay, well, so it's already leaked out. But in some cases, well, it's preferable to use the OCI platform struct. And I think we also have the proto struct, so it's preferable to use that, but for configuration files it's ugly to use that. And in some cases we want to be able to represent like I'm on Linux but I don't care which yeah you understand that. So it's easier to represent that way.
I've got a lot of the same code over in Reg client for doing the same selection. Clearly I was looking over a containerd code and saying how they do this, like make sure I'm not breaking anything. So a whole lot of similar concepts when I was writing this up, and ran into the same issues of I want to make sure whatever this field is, it carries into the preferred object or into the platform object, sorry. Carries in the platform object so that all my matching logic can be passed around, same as you've got over there. So we're both fighting the same problem. I'm just looking to make sure that we can come up with a solution that we all like, and so we can get this into OCI, because I think it makes sense to get that logic in there in one place for everybody.
Yeah,
not the implementation, but at least the concept.
Yeah, if you want a new concept of like a features field, I mean, yeah, we could. If you add it to the image spec, we can support it. I don't think it'd be that hard, but just need to figure out how to format it if we want to format it. But
that's where all the bike shedding goes.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the most part, we've tried to stick to a backwards compatibility or have backwards compatibility, but that's actually why I held the platforms at an RC, because as soon as we 1.0 that, we want the format to be backwards compatible.
So this is where the working group,
compatible.
when we were going through this, we said that if you use this, you should really put something there that doesn't have any prefers as your first entry. Just whatever the classic one is that everybody can use on whatever platform. And then if you're going to do something special that's going to be non-compatible with forward stuff, that becomes a later entry in the index with your new prefers field or whatever you're adding, your new platform field, whatnot.
Yeah, well, I think for the most part, it's fine on the Container side because, as I said, we mostly use it in configuration, which is usually tied to the latest version anyways. But yeah, if we have like use over an API, it's kind of scary. Because now, I mean, it's fine to ignore the value because like right now, if you were to format the OS features, it's just going to get ignored everywhere because nowhere uses it. But
that's the exact design. We say you should ignore the fields you don't recognize, and then we say you should take the first entry that matches unless
Yeah.
you have a reason to pick something else. And so between those two, that should give you the good backward compatibility for all the
yeah, that's why I think it's perfectly safe to just add these formats in. As I said, this is more of a formatting thing. It's not that that code that I showed you, it would work if as I said, it's backwards compatible because it will still prefer the original way because you're not going to have like an old configuration with features in it. But if you add that in later, it's perfectly fine. But if you want to add yet another or utilize that reserve features field, then we should talk about what that would even look like there.
Yeah, I intentionally didn't pick on the reserve field just because I had a different type. It wasn't going to be a slice of strings. And so because I wasn't doing that and we reserved it as a slice of strings, I stayed away from it.
Yeah. But I mean, we might want to put it in the same, at least from a Containerd perspective, put it in the same field or put it in the same area.
I did it in the same area. I did it right alongside, but I just called it something different just so that I wouldn't step on that name.
Yeah. But I guess I agree with you in that if we do add a new field, it shouldn't just be another array of strings because OS features is already an array of strings.
I did a map of strings. The idea of the map was that you can just look through them real quick and see, I've got this map. I got these properties locally. I see these matches within that map, and these are the ones I like.
Map is without order.
It didn't need order. The
Okay.
order is entirely client side. If there are any weights or something like that, that would be within Containerd itself that knows that it's got this priority within its map matches that it's finding.
It's hard to represent that though, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was representing it just, I put the weights in there as just a weighted list in there. And so you just say, here's if I see this field for the GPU, my weight for that is 10 because I've got a GPU on there. I really want to use that. If I see this entry in here for the AeroFS, let me make that a 2. That's a nicer thing to have, but it's not as important as getting that GPU support. And then you weight them, and then you just add up all the weights, and you see which one came best for you, which image was the best.
That's gonna be a hard thing to get in, but
Yeah.
when you have like scoring
Scoring
systems,
is
those
hard.
are hard.
The scoring weights though were entirely internal to Containerd, and they could even be entirely internal to a configuration file in Containerd that you expose to the end user. And then it's out of your hands too if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 2 items, it's fine, but yeah, that could easily turn ugly. But I guess the reality is we're not really dealing with that complicated of stuff to start. So
I suspect anybody that puts a weight in there is going to weigh like 2 or 3 fields most, and everything else they're going to ignore. And so all the other stuff in there that shows up, they're just going to say, hey, I don't recognize it. I don't care about it. Ignore it. But we are over time. I'm sure a bunch of people are getting pinged to jump to the next meeting here.
Yeah, it's to be continued. As I said, it's not a burning topic, but I do at least want to get that part in to Containerd.
I'd really love to chat and keep in sync on this one. That way we can not have Containerd go off in a completely different direction while we're still trying to do stuff over in the compatibility working group in a completely opposite direction. So whatever we can do to align those, be good.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Later.
All right. Thanks.
Here's everybody.